Let's get it going, people. Welcome in. Welcome in. This is gonna be an interesting stream. Cody Pendant, welcome in. Hey, 6 months. Let's go. Pilcrow, how you doing? Good to see the regulars around here. 6 months. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Well, we're doing it. Today we're playing with forms. I had a shower thought where a lot of things clicked, and I'm kind of scared of what we're going to come up with. But I've got ideas. I've got a lot of ideas. And none of them are like AstroCore proposals. None of them are out of reach. These are all small user land libraries that I have in mind that could really do some damage. Really do some damage. This is going to be big. This is going to be the big one. Or at least the start of the big one. You know how these streams go, where we have a big idea and we spend an hour scaffolding and talking, and we don't actually find time to finish the idea. So hey, we're going to start here. I'm in New York City. I realized I missed your conference. No problem, man. I'm back home, sadly, because I moved out of Jersey, but it was great. It was great. We got to speak in a planetarium. The wall of code was insane. It's the first time that I had to bump my font size down so people weren't overwhelmed by how big the screen was. It was crazy. It really was. We got to explain server components from scratch. Demo went well. The projector burnt out, but only for like 30 seconds. Only for 30 seconds, and they brought it back. So we still powered through. We made it happen. But yeah, let me show you this view. This is what my code looked like. My God. I mean, I'll admit, I was watching Josh Komu's talk because I wanted to see what does this planetarium look like. And I was just, wow. React Spring. Look at it. Whoa. It was a lot to take in. You definitely wanted to sit towards the back of the auditorium so you could take it in. If you were in like a middle seat or the front row, it was really tough. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. And I got to meet up with a lot of friends, a lot of animals as well. We had a family reunion. This was a crazy little ask that we had coming out of here. Let me see all the tags that I have just to make sure I get everyone's participation. Where are the tags? There we go. We have Ivan in the back. He's the React dev. I'll show you what I mean by that. We have Dev, Classic, repping Marco, because Ryan's not here, of course. We have Swizek with the hat. The cowboy hat on this man is just iconic. Mark Erickson, our boy, Replay.io, awesome dude. And Taz as the dino, as the dinosaur. You can see that right there. And of course, we called him Meteor. That was not my joke. That was Taz's joke. But it's so good. It's so good. Knockout because he's got punching gloves. I mean, come on. I was like, okay, React is going to be the guy on the phone in the back that doesn't know what signals are, obviously. But I was like, what are these people? Well, I guess Vue is the original. Svelte is the weird, like, chicken version of it. You know, like, one's the basic bird and one's the crazy bird. And then Solid is just a different bird entirely. That just felt like the right alignment there. I don't know. It felt right. This is a good family photo, 100%. But yeah, we got a lot out of that, and I got to meet Josh for the first time. He's a cool man. He's a cool dude. And we had this moment from Rachel Neighbors saying casually, I used to think the Reactor Stripe docs were the best docs in the world. Now I tip my hat to Astro. There we go. We love that. Really appreciate Rachel shouting out Starlight on stage as the best way to write docs, other than DocuSource, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. DocuSource is fine. It's fine. It exists. But Starlight's what you need to be using. 0.13, we got nice-looking code blocks. So if you're into embedding code in your docs, well, now you can, like, highlight lines and add headings and add tabs and add copy-paste links and add these little triple dots so it looks like an official documentation page. There's so many things that you can do now, and it's really cool. Yes, very cool. So, yeah. That's everything that I can share from the event, but it was awesome. We're just going to figure out how to add links in code blocks. Nice. Are you using Starlight for that? Because I assume you're working on Remark plugins in order to parse out links. It's tough to do. I've seen the remark magic that goes into stuff like this, and it is heroic. We have this contributor, Hippo. He just goes by Hippo. His profile picture is a hippopotamus. He's a mysterious man that we think is secretly this Elon Musk type that's making billions off of his startups and tells no one. Well, actually, not Elon Musk type, because he's super reserved and super humble. But he just swoops in, and he's been working on this syntax highlighting remark plugin for months and months, and it is stupidly feature-rich. If anyone has a link, send it to me. I'm forgetting the link. But I know his efforts went into the Astro docs and definitely informed how Starlight did this. So shout out to Hippo for being a remark god. Yeah, remark plugins, exactly. I use like 3 plugins for the Lucia Astro docs. Nice. Handwritten? Or do you have some like userland libraries that you lean on? Also, we're not getting any love for this tweet. I think it was super cryptic and no one knows what I mean. But I tried. If anyone wants to reshare that link I sent above, go ahead. We got to get the people in here because we're going to try to build a system for re-rendering. Pilcrow, you saw my crazy proposal over the weekend for actions, and I realized I'm stupid. We don't need anything that I proposed there. We don't need new APIs. RPCs are extra effort. We could just do request response and do this ourselves. We could do this ourselves. So yeah, if you saw my proposal in the Astro feedback channel for a crazy server actions option in Astro, I'm going back on it. I don't think we need it. I think we could do something way, way, way simpler. Simple stack, TM. So let me go ahead and open up the correct repo here. Womp. Also make sure I've closed this Astro Studio repo. Yes, I am employed at Astro. Yes, I work on a service called Studio, or an app, or a library. We don't know what Studio is. I've never heard of it. I just know it's being announced. What is Astro? Good question. Do you have a Raycast plugin that I could use to learn more about Astro? It'd be really helpful. Anyways, let's get into it. I have an idea for, first off, handling form data nicely. I'm sure we'll run into a... Oh, my God. Oh, okay. I know what that's from. Yeah, don't worry about that. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Good. But yeah, something popped up. It was this crazy file that I tried to open last night, and iCloud does this super weird thing where it lets you move around and interact with the file, but it's not downloaded yet, and it doesn't let you force download it. It doesn't tell you the progress. All it does is like 10 hours later when the file downloads, it just does all the actions at once that you were trying to do to the file. It's like, why? iCloud is fine, but they really need to work on the everything around UX there. The everything, perhaps. Let me also turn on my music, and let me make sure it's streaming to y'all. It might be streaming a little bit quiet right now. Let me turn it up. Turn it down. That's about where I want it. And then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to my loopback to make sure I can also hear the music, because right now I cannot hear the music. Where's my music? Dang it, I can't look at the loopback window to find out. Show all windows. No available windows. Well, can you show me the loopback window so I don't have to quit it? I don't think I can. Dang it. So I'm going to quit loopback here. Somehow I'm still streaming music to you, even though I quit the app that does that. But, alright, that's cool. There we are. Yeah. Music. Now that's what I call music. I don't know what's playing, actually. This feels like elevator music. But sometimes elevator music is the right vibe. You never know. Soy Warman, welcome back in. Hello, how you doing? Man? Oh, also, there's this one other thing. I thought about doing this, but I challenge y'all to do it. Guillermo tweeted out an update to How Is This Not Legal, where he has a static site that renders Pokemon super quickly. Wow, look at this. Edge rendered Pokemon. What's in my inspector? Oh, yeah. Next.js script tags. There's about 20 script tags to render some HTML. Can someone please deploy an Astro app to Vercel Edge that just renders the Pokemon as HTML? Can we just correct Guillermo on this and show him that this could be better? Can someone please do that? Because, I mean, come on. Come on. Really? Like, you can. How much JS? Well, if you have this, I think you already have a problem. What are all of these? You see, this is another... What has happened? Oh yeah, this is how you hydrate the entire page. Because, by the way, server components still hydrate the entire page. You still hydrate a server component, even though there may not be client-side logic. Because React needs to own every last HTML element, so it has to trace through it. And there is no way for them to optimize it, as far as I can tell. Dude, Simple Stack is going to go off. I swear, we're going to get some people on the Astro side once we start showing off patterns. I swear we're going to. Wait, they do? I thought the goal was to have client-side... Nope, that was never the goal. That was never the goal. I don't know what the goal was, other than being able to server render React and call databases within a React component. You still have to hydrate. You know why? Because you have to hydrate the entire tree to know where the client stuff mounts, and to also know where your suspense boundaries are to reload certain parts of the page. Otherwise, React has no idea where in the HTML tree to put their suspense boundaries. So they have to have the entire React tree still there. Of course, you don't have to do JSON fetches anymore. You don't have to serialize React query or load the React query library. They are taking off JavaScript chunks, to their credit. But you still need React to know about every last element on the page, which means you need a hydration trace. There is no other way to do it. They could get the hydration to be smaller, like all the Tailwind classes. Maybe they don't need to do that, and they can just pull it from the HTML. But they still need some manifest of all of the elements. There is no other way. Not a manifest, but at least it has to be in the stream in order for them to do it. It's a bit of a mess. Can they just literally optimize React first instead of doing all this RSC stuff? They know. I have heard that React is trying to get rid of some core libraries that have been around for a while to just give you a leaner React core. And if they do that, that would be amazing. That would cut down the size of React and Virtual DOM a lot. But the hydration costs, I don't know how that would disappear. Next route announcer. Oh, okay, this might be for accessibility on route changes. I won't knock that. And it's a web component. So good on Next.js for at least doing their part there. Petite React, kind of. We already have Preact, so it would be kinda React? Pre-Preact? All of that sounds wrong. Wait, use client directive enables you to use client-side hooks and whatnot. Yes, so what is the point if it hydrates anyway? Well, hydrating just means it has a JSON representation of the tree, so it knows where all the elements mount up. It doesn't mean it's also going to hydrate button clicks and such. So maybe hydration's not even the right word. It's really just having a set of elements, having a trace of all of the elements that are owned by React. Does it have to store all of the properties of those? I don't know if it does. This could be trimmed down. I would have to dig into React Core to know more. But having built React server components from scratch on stage, I at least know that server components stream down not as HTML, but as JSX elements. And it's up to React to match those JSX elements to DOM elements. It doesn't just stream HTML, because they have out-of-order streaming and all this other wackiness that they need to support. So this is necessary. They could trim it down, but they can't get it to 0. And there will certainly not be a 0 JavaScript version of server components, because they need to support suspense and they need to support client boundaries. That's where we're at. So server components let you do database calls in your components. They let you stop fetching JSON endpoints, but they still ship JavaScript. That has not changed. Maybe less JavaScript, but they still ship JavaScript. So there you go. It's a bit of a compromise solution that is really hard to wrap your head around, but it does move React forward, so I'm not really going to knock on them. Come to think of it, I should know this since I'm struggling with hydration. You should not know this. This is a lot that people ideally don't have to think about. 100 kilobytes? I thought it was 70. I know that 70 was the production build for a Hello World. So let's take a look at the production build for something like this. Well, we have our web peas, makes sense. We have a lot of chunks, actually. Surprising amount of chunks. Okay, so we're at least at 80, looking at these two chunks right here. 90? 90. Okay, we're close to 90. Because we also have to code split. I don't know why we code split some things here. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. And this is Webpack, so I'm like, whatever. I don't know what that is. Oh, yeah, we have promises here. Yeesh. Yeah, but declarative shadow DOM breaks in server components. It does. Oh, man, you're talking about that stuff. Yeah, I bet it does. I bet web components do break in declarative shadow DOM. I have also wondered about if you requested, like, fragments of HTML and they had React inside of them, will it work or will it break? That's something we also need to try. But back to the code. The code. Back to the code, baby. Let's get it. So I want to beeline to a solution here. We were playing with some ideas and we were trying to get stuff loading last time. I now just want to focus on taking these, turning them into forms, and then figuring out how to parse form data better, and figuring out how to re-render just the form when you submit. And I have crazy ideas for that. Or your browser is preloaded with React. Yeah, we do want React in the browser, don't we? If you embed JS logic in it, it should. Okay. Yeah, it should. As long as it embeds all the information it needs. And Astro is really good at that. Astro embeds a web component that mounts React, Vue, Svelte, etc. So you actually don't ship a script tag. You ship a web component, and Astro has the loader for that web component to manage loading all of your stuff. You don't ship the web component unless you use an island, obviously, but it should mount really well because we use a web component wrapper. How would it handle redirects? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Because it would, yeah, you're already poking a hole in my plan. We would need client-side JS to understand it, but it would be progressively enhanced. So yes, there are options. We would need handlers for all the response types to do it properly, but yes, it is possible. It is absolutely possible. Twitch is prompting me to ask you to drink tea. Well, you need to redeem the drink tea challenge for 200 points or whatever it is. So if you click the little treasure chest and then like this little circle next to the chat box, if you click that circle, you can choose to redeem if you would like. WASM for all client-side activities. Okay, there you go. All right, Cowface, thank you for demoing. Oh boy, this is a heavy cup. This is fresh brew. So let me oh god. Whoa! Okay, we're just gonna pinky out here. Okay, 3 more. 2 and 3. Thank you. Thank you for that. Imagine more guys join us. Wow, yeah. Well, you haven't had tea if you haven't had Indian tea. Oh boy. What is Indian tea like? I know it exists, but I don't know much about it. What kind of stuff you working with? What are you working with? Very curious. Chai makes sense. That's what I would have said. I just hate guessing, do you have chai tea? And then I'm like totally wrong and my cultures are off. I feel like Japanese tea is the easiest to drink. Fair. I love me some matcha, for sure. Surprisingly, if you get the big box of matcha tea from Costco, like, this is low quality, I'm aware, but it's higher quality than you would expect. Like, it's higher quality than just, like, matcha tea from... I went to Flushing in New York and went to a Japanese dollar store. The matcha tea there was not very good, and it was too overpriced. But the Costco matcha tea, surprisingly, okay. I mean, you want to get the matcha powder, and you want to brew it properly. Ideally, you have, like, a pot that you can brew up all the matcha in. But that's effort, you know? Sometimes you want the taste of matcha, and you're okay with a half quality. Costco's always higher quality than expected. Exactly. Do you have masala chai tea? I've not had masala chai tea. Put my name on the whiteboard. Okay, so My setup isn't built for this. I've cheated by going on Eraser.io and writing your name. But today I'm feeling special. So I'm going to wheel my whiteboard in and put your name on this dang whiteboard. 1 second. Oh boy. Here she comes. Oh lordy, coming. All right. We're pulling it in. Oh boy. Yep. There it is. There it is, brother. All right. Putting your name on here. Let's go big mode. Big mode. All right. We got we got 3 people. We're all excited. What do we call ourselves? What is the name of our crew? You know, I don't have a name for the whiteboard crew. I just say it whiteboardist, but it sounds a bit, off. It doesn't sound great. If anyone has a better name. I'm just writing in order of what I remember. Sorry, I know code was first. So let me make sure I get that right. I know it's code E. Code E pendant. Cody pendant. Oh, now I get it. Now that I read it out, I get it. All right. And then we got Pilcrow. You just go by Pilcrow. Come on. We're on a first name basis around here. The Holmesies. Not bad. The homies. The homies isn't bad. I'm fine with Pilcrow. Okay. See, I read your mind. Yeah, whiteboardist is a bit much. I do think the homies would be good. I like that. I appreciate y'all. Okay, back to the share. Let's get some stuff going. I also noticed I hide chat these days when I go screen share mode. Do y'all prefer that? Because this is like the full, we've got the stinger and we've got the chat over there. And then when we're focused, we're focused. Do we prefer that? Or do we want to get the chat on the screen? Because before I was running into problems of just too much stuff on the screen and we couldn't see the code. So this was my compromise. I left my mark. I take a train home. Hey, safe travels, man. Thank you for popping in. Also, I didn't realize Fimian was on. What's up, man? How you doing? How the web components doing out there? How's Vue doing? And how are you doing? That's the most important part. I'm great. Good to hear. I'm doing great as well. The view is lovely. It's never been a better time to be in Vue, I'm sure. I also noticed the language tools are starting to put imports at the bottom of the file. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm glad I don't work on language tools. Whew. I'm debating if I should just put Vue components in this app at some point, just to feel something. I've been using Svelte, been using Solid, been using React, been using Alpine. I actually really like Alpine. Alpine is a good library. And if I like Alpine, maybe I should try Vue, because I've never used Vue for much. I used it to build a slide deck because Anthony Fu is an amazing developer that built an amazing slide deck app, but I had to use Vue components. So that was my only experience. And I was building Vue components on a plane with broken language tools, so everything sucked, I'll be honest. But that's me. Alpine's built on Vue's. Yes, it is. It is built on the reactivity system. It's real nice. And to anyone who says, use Petite Vue, that was Evan Yu kind of showing off, and then he didn't maintain it after that conference talk. So don't talk about Petite Vue. It died on arrival, sadly. Alpine is the way to use Vue in a simpler context. Frameworks like SvelteKit add redirect location within the JSON body. Yes, and we will add it in a request response body, basically. So we're not going to be doing JSON. We're going to be, instead of returning JSON that matches up to client-side state, we're returning HTML that should re-render a fragment of the page. And anything that's outside of that is pretty much handled the same way. Svelte, I guess, encodes the redirect in the JSON. We would just return a 303, and we would check the status inside of the fetch call and sort of hoist it up to be a client-side navigation. I always struggle with the readability of Alpine code. I kind of do too. So I'll be honest, the maintainer reached out to me. Caleb, he's absolutely fantastic. He gave me full access to the Alpine components library, which is a paid set of pre-built components. And, he's been really nice to work with. So that alone makes me really want to promote Alpine as like a good JavaScript Lite option inside of Astro. He's a real good guy. But I agree the readability gets funny. I agree the Astro language tools do not match up with Alpine well at all. Like if I wrote an X data statement in here, none of the language tools with Alpine will actually show this as, a JavaScript object. And everything is very loosey-goosey, so you don't get type inferencing anywhere. And I also discovered if you're outside of a JSX expression, Erica was heroic enough to make these directives work and work nicely. But if you're inside of a JSX expression, you get this albino code block that doesn't really know what to do with itself. Like, look at what's going on. It highlights completely differently when you're inside. See what happened there? When you're inside of a JSX expression, all bets are off because we rely on just the default JSX parser. So, Alpine not super compatible with the language tools inside of Astro, and it would take some effort to get there. So that also gives me some pause. But it is really nice to just say X data, show true, move on. Or this is my favorite. Inside of a form, you could say add input, debounce, 300 ms, submit. Like, that's good. That's like HTMX levels of stuff without all the HTMX opinions about how the HTML is handled. Like, that's so good. I want more libraries that do that. Yeah, it's good. So it's a push and pull of like, Alpine's really good, but it's also kind of bad. I'm torn. My heart is torn on Alpine, but I like some stuff about it, so I'm going to keep using it. Could you make Alpine do the thing in an HTML file? Yes, you could, and I checked this. Watch me go. So I have this logo, for example. It's an SVG. Logo.html. We might need to save this file for the import to update. But look, I'm importing logo.html. I go to my Astro file. There's my logo as HTML. How beautiful is that? So if you just wanted an HTML file, yeah, dude, do it. Go forth. But I usually run into a state where I'm like, I actually want a slot. Dang it. And I want a server-rendered slot. I don't want a web component slot. I want a server-rendered slot. And I'm like, I actually have to template out the error state. So like error and then that. And I don't want client-side JavaScript to do that. I want server-side. So it's like, you could use HTML, but not always. For static stuff like this, I might start using just plain HTML files because it just feels good. Demulroy, if I'm saying that right, welcome in. Thank you for the raid, man. What are y'all working on? What brings you to the party? We're going to be doing some crazy stuff today, so you definitely joined the right stream. But yeah, welcome in, Raiders. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's do a form. Let's do a form. This is what I want to do. First, I wanted to figure out how to parse a form request in a nice way. Ben, sorry for sending the same message, but 302 responses don't work well with fetch. What does that mean? So like if I fetch something and it has a status 302, something breaks that I'm not expecting? Because I would think that I could do a fetch call, check the status, and use that to decide if I should do a client-side redirect. I would assume that that works fine. But I don't know why that would be an issue. Because you can't get the location header. You can't get the location header in the fetch response? Because that's weird. Why not? It should return the response in full. Like, is that the issue? I'm not going to use fetch to, like, go to the destination, though. I'm going to use Astro navigate to navigate to whatever location is in the fetch response. If that doesn't work, then, wow, that's weird. Because why would the location header be missing when you do a fetch call? Ooh, okay, so you're definitely catching me here. We might need a special handler or something. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Dude, don't poke holes before I've even done it. No! I'm sure HTMX runs into this too, right? Because in HTMX, you could return a redirect. So they must have something that we could lean on. Something. Okay, my conference talk. Congrats, man. I hope it went well. At RVAJS last Friday. What does RVA stand for? On Melange. Okay, you're the OCaml guy. Did we meet at Reactathon? Or did I meet a different OCaml guy? Or perhaps. Did I meet a different OCaml guy? Or was that you? If it was you, you're a cool person. Thank you for pushing on reason. Use content type to return both HTML and JSON. Okay. But I don't, yeah. Now we're going to get into, like, Astro Core needs to modify the response. And I didn't want to do that. Well, I guess we could set response headers. We could be smart. But okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Sounds like there is a solution. So I'll keep going. Is there a way to programmatically navigate in Astro? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Let me show you. Script tag or any component. You have access to this anywhere. All right. Navigate. Astro transitions. This lets you navigate to any page. And watch this. Watch this. Watch me now. Pass form data. So you could send a post request to a page, and it would swap the current page with whatever it is using view transitions as the default. Look at that right there. Navigate anywhere you want. Real cool. And you could also use it to navigate to a redirect or do whatever you want. This is so powerful. Stupidly powerful. When I saw that form data can be passed on this, I was like, done. We don't need anything else in Astro Core. We've got everything we need to build. Found out this is black magic. Found out, okay, black magic, yes. Yes, we're going to be playing with all these APIs. We'll have a collab sometime. Reason ML. Content, maybe with Astro. Reason ML with Astro? To me, those feel like different worlds. But if they're not, Richmond, Virginia, nice. If they're not different worlds, I'm very curious. Because I love me some functional programming. We talked, my last company. I remember you now. You rated me a couple weeks ago, too. Or months at this point. Time is fake. But yes, thank you for sharing the slide deck. Ooh, that's a beefy slide deck, dude. How long was the talk? How'd you have the privilege of using this many slides? I mean, some of these are just transitions, so that's fair enough. But yeah, man, you went deep. Was this like an hour or a 40-minute? Because I've never done... This is just me as a conference speaker asking, how do you pump through your slides? How do you structure your talk? Like, how long was it? How did you structure it? I'm just curious. But yeah, go check out that slide deck, people, if you're a reason person. Partials with what? With what? With our own little bit of client-side logic. That's what it is. What's up? I'm a creative developer and game dev from Toronto. Dude, welcome in. What's up, man? Toronto's awesome. They are not. Okay. They are not different worlds, I assume you mean. That's good to hear. I did about 80 slides in 6 minutes at City J. Wow. Wow. So I use a lot of transitions on a slide. So something that would take 10 separate slides would just be like one slide with some like click handlers. So, you know, maybe that's part of it, is some people just like duplicating slides with the differences. Yeah. 45 minutes. All right. That's reasonable. I did notice that each bullet's a separate thing. But yeah, that makes sense. All right. I'm getting sidelined by all you cool people. Let me at least try to show off some stuff. So I showed you Navigate exists. Navigate exists, and it's a really, really cool concept. But let me do something here. So first we have our cards on the page, right? Let's look here. First, we have our cards. Second, we want to render these as forms so that we could change the name, perhaps. And we don't really care about the name right now. We're not using SQLite yet. We're not mounting this up and doing SQL queries. We're just trying to do, can we handle the form? Gotta bounce. Have a great stream. Thank you, sir. I will definitely see you again. And my Twitter DMs are open. If you got content ideas, my Twitter DMs are open. BHolmesDev. And I'll follow you if I haven't. I also recorded this morning, so I have it on YouTube. Oh, heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Yeah, share it out. By default, fetch will make another GET request to the redirect location and return the response instead. You can disable this, but then you can't get the location header. Interesting. That sucks. But I'm curious what HTMX does, because I know in HTMX, if you fetch a partial and the partial returns a redirect, it's smart enough to bubble the redirect. And if not, well, that's weird. They should be smart enough. But also, I'm going to show y'all with this idea I have in my head that we could do this idea of hot swapping HTML and still progressively enhance it with zero extra effort. It's doable. It's doable. Okay, so getting ahead of myself. We have our card header and we have our card content. We're going to wrap this whole thing in a form because this is just layout, right? So this is going to be a form. It's going to be method post. That's fine. This is going to be an input now. So it's a link tag that's also an input. We probably need an edit mode and a regular mode. For now, let me think about what I want to do. I'm going to break out this card first and foremost because I already want it. And I'm actually, yeah, I'll make it a component for now. I'll make it a component for now, but I have a crazy idea. So this is going to be the sound form because this is a soundboard generator, right? That's what we're building. So I'm going to take all of this. And there should be, by the way, it would be really cool if Astro had a language tool that said extract to component. I would love something that extracts to component and generates props for me. That feels like such a nice little language tool feature that we could add, but I'll leave it out for now. We can at least do add all missing imports to make this look nice. And sometimes it does that. I don't know why. We'll also do type props, and the prop should just be a sound. So we'll have an ID, which is a string, and name, which is a string. And we will say const ID name equals Astro props. Cool, cool. And we don't need the B anymore. Can you tell I was using Golang? Because I was using one-letter names. Okay, so we're not going to do link tags, so we don't have anywhere to link to. I'm just going to make this a form for now. Input type hidden. Oh, my God. Woo! This is a very... this is an idea. I haven't gotten there yet, but that's an idea. Interesting. So we will need a name for the form because we have so many forms on the page. Someday we can make this nicer. For now, I'm just going to do like form dash and then just put the ID in there. That'll do. And we don't need a value. We just need another input. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. So we want type... Okay, they're really going after the hidden inputs. I want type text. Name... Nah, it should just be the name. Yeah. Name, value, name. Yeah, that's all it is. Cool. So now I have a form post. And we're going to handle it somewhere in the app. So we can't handle the form data inside of here because then every form would try to parse the form data at the same time. And you can only parse a request once. That is a gotcha. So I had a crazy idea to do it from middleware. Because why not? There are other implications for this. This would be a very frameworky opinion. I don't think Astro Core would ever do this. But a userland library that helps you manage forms might do this. So I'm just going to do it. Middleware.ts. And I'm going to look up the docs on Astro Middleware just to make sure I'm doing this right. I could have used Raycast. I'm sorry, Elian. But yeah, we'll do an on request. Keep it simple. Keep it light. There we go. And it doesn't give us TypeScript types. Man, I wish it had a little type annotation. There you go. I feel like we should just put that. I feel like we should just put the type annotation without an explainer. That would be nice. Okay, implicitly as any type. That makes sense because we haven't typed it. I don't know why this isn't working. Did I type this right? Am I missing something here? That actually doesn't make sense. No X element. No. I used to be kind about this, but now I'm just like, I don't know. Well, actually, I haven't soured on X element at all. I haven't. I'm thinking, have I tried X element? Did I like it? No, I haven't tried it recently. Maybe it is still good. I'm not sure. The reason that I've been looking at Alpine is because it's used in Laravel already, because it has a lot of opinions from backend people, and because it has a component library. All of those are built in. X-Element does not have those. But X-Element, as far as I know, can even work outside of Astro. So it is a generic library, which I like. And it does handle stuff inline instead of making you write a script tag in a separate web component, which I also like. So maybe I should try X-Element again. Maybe that would be the best of both worlds. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep going. But Fuzzy, you actually got me thinking. Maybe I should take X-Element more seriously and actually try it for something. Because I've been looking for a middle way, and Alpine was fitting that for me. It still works from 0.22. The fact that, okay, it should be 1.0, I think. We should get it there. I feel like if I try X-Element and I like it, I would try to be a contributor to it in order to get it working. But if I don't like X-Element and it feels like Alpine is serving my needs better, maybe I'll stick with Alpine. I don't know yet. First time I'm coming across Astro. Thanks for streaming this. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Anytime I hear new people trying out this stuff for the first time, it's like, I've done my job, man. I'm trying to show it off. I'm trying to get you excited. Okay, anyways, why do my types not work? I'll be working... Oh, Xmas? X-Element Miss? It was right in the name all along. I've been celebrating Xmas the wrong way. I've been celebrating Xmas the wrong way, man. I've been messing up. Yeah, I know, it's Fuzzy Bear. Welcome in, man. I like that you always got your signature green hearts. I didn't even announce them. I should have announced the green hearts. Oh, wait, Astro unknown word. Wait, it doesn't know what Astro is. What? Huh? What do you mean you don't know what Astro is? It's kind of what I'm using right now. What? What is happening? Why? Wait, what? People, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? Okay, I'm just gonna use TypeScript. I'm spooked. I'm very spooked. I'm very, very spooked. My language tools are failing me. This is not Astro's fault. But yeah, I'll go ahead and do a middleware response handler like that. Yeah, I'll do it like this. This is fine. I do love, using function bodies instead of exports. But yeah, I think we need to do it like this because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, man. Okay, so this is what I want to do. And also, does anyone have a guide on checking if something is a form request? Because I've naively, up until now, just been saying if request.method equals post and assume it's form data, which is okay for small apps. But do I check if it's content type URL encoded form? And will that content type always exist? Like, how do you classically do it? Can't you just use define middleware? Can I? Okay, why do we not tell you to do this? Why do we bury the lead? We should be doing that. What the heck? Thank you, Pilcrow. Oh, that's so much better. Yeah, I meant that. I meant that thing. Okay, Pilcrow, already. Okay, yes. Or yeah, you see, I've seen both of these. And I'm like, do I check for both? Perhaps? Do I check for both? I have no idea. It should be mentioned that there are two MIME types of HTML forms used. HTML has no such limitation. Okay, yeah, HTTP can do whatever the heck it wants. To transmit, use multi-part form data. Otherwise, use that. I don't know what any of that means. Browsers use that. Very good. So would it be application / or would it just... I think it is application /. Anyways. So we'll go ahead and do it like this. And I had a crazy idea, and we'll work on the libraries for this. We'll work on the way to make this generic. But for now, I just want to do the basics of what I need. And destructuring request was definitely nice. So let me do that. If request.method equals post, and request.headers dot get yeah. Not that, actually. We'll do that. Okay. If it equals both of these things. Or actually, yeah, we could say if it's not post, yeah, we'll do the negation. We'll do the negation of it. Return next, not JS. Not next.js. Return next. Otherwise, parse the body, baby. So we'll say the body. Oh yeah, well that is one option, but definitely not the way I wanted to do it. You could parse as search params. That is a fun fact about forms. For libraries, I clone the request, then read the body. I hadn't considered cloning the request. That is a good point. Would that be a better idea than doing it from middleware and using Astro locals to type it? Because that would be cool. Because what I would like, and just you're the middleware expert, so fact check me here. I would like, inside of this form, to handle the request, check if it's form data, and parse it out with some nice defaults. You'll be able to parse the body multiple times. That's exactly what I'm looking to do. So how do you clone a request? Do you just say new request? Request? Is it as simple as that? Because that would be what my brain tells me to do. So yeah, what I'm doing, form data, astro.request.form data. That's what I want to do. Const request equals new request astro.request. Request.clone? You're kidding. You're kidding. Really? Wow. Today I learned. This is why I stream. This is why I stream. Thank you, sir. Oh, that is cool. That is real useful. All right, middleware's dead. We're not using middleware for this. Didn't make any sense anyways. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, that's exactly what I want to do. And I wanted to have a parser. Tell me if this is crazy. I wanted to have a parser that turns form data into a JavaScript object and does a couple simple transformations. Like if it sees its type number, parse it as a number. If it sees that it's type checkbox, parse on and off, which are strings that it returns, into a Boolean. Everything else, just put the form data in the object. Does that make sense? Would it be nice if form data was parsed to an object for you and you could opt out if you don't want to parse it to an object? Because I've found, especially when I'm using Zod to make sure of the inputs, that would be nice. Turn it into an object, then use Zod. That's why I'm doing it. And I've seen two ways to do this, actually. There's one userland library that I was playing with a while ago that kind of goes the other way, where they adapted Zod to be able to parse form data. But you end up with special validators for every type. So if you have a Zod object already, you have to wrap each individual key with a special Zod form data Zufta handler. It's not very elegant, and it's really annoying to work with if you're trying to reuse models. So I was like, maybe we should go the other way. Instead of building a validator just for form data, turn form data into an object that we expect. Yeah, object from entries, right. But having to do this dance every time is just annoying to me. I hate having to do object from entries, form data entries, yeah. It's like, this is, can you just do it for me? Because it's not just this either. Like, this would still have a checkbox. So if you didn't know, if you did like input type equals check. Is checkbox a thing? Yeah. If you send this as a form data, it does not return a Boolean. It returns the string on or the string off. And it's up to you to parse that into a Boolean. Same with numbers, I'm pretty sure. It would still be a string even though it's type number. This, because it has to encode it as search params, it auto-strings everything. So it would be nice if the library did this and converted all the obnoxious things, like checkboxes and numbers. And then the rest is left to me. Like if I have a custom input that's returning custom string values, yeah, write your own parser. The issue with objects is that you can have duplicate fields. Oh, isn't that a weird thing with merging, where you could technically have form data of the same name? Yeah, at that point, I guess it would just merge it into an array of values, and it would be on you to check if it's an array. Not great, but yeah, that is a good gotcha. That is a good gotcha to know about. Maybe custom form data get number. I'd be doing that all the time. It feels like I want it to just do it. Return null if field isn't number. Yeah, it should do that. You just end up with a lot of checking. And this is, yeah, I know we have slightly different opinions on APIs, Pilcrow, where your APIs allow me to see absolutely everything that's happening. It is super clear, but it is left to me as the user to take in all of the functions and wire them up appropriately. And I'm a little bit further on the end of let the library do some of the work and actually have an opt-out switch, which is a bit off-brand for me. I gave a talk on opt-in design, and I'm over here saying do something to opt out. But I feel like I want a library to do a little bit more for me. I built a form data parser before, and I hated it. That's good to know. Because I don't know what I'm getting into, I'll be honest. I really don't know what I'm getting into. So if that's the case, then okay, all right. Maybe, perhaps not. I don't know. So I guess that's why. New form data, I mean, that's where we're at. We do have form data to start, and I wanted a way to massage it a little bit nicer. Perhaps my parser could just be for simple-minded forms, and for edge cases, we just don't care. I know it returns a fuzzy. I know what a form data object is. I just don't like working with them. And I wanted something that for simpler forms, where each input is independent and checkboxes and numbers work as expected, that it just gives me a JavaScript object with the things pre-transformed. Perhaps it should just be a Zod object that parses it in that simple-minded way. Multi-part form data parsing was a nightmare. I believe that too. The reason I would probably call this a simple form is because there are all sorts of issues there. Zod is pretty smart about exposing errors as field errors. So, okay, here's what I've learned. Form data has a couple issues, like having multiple inputs of the same name, which is common for radio inputs, I believe, and parsing multi-part form data, which I don't even want to know about. Because of those things, I'm going to table this discussion. I'm not going to write a wrapper library. I'm glad I figured out request clone, but I'm just going to move on from here and not do that. Because I want to get to the good stuff. I want to get to partials. So, okay, we've got our object. I'm going to parse it naively, right? Parsing naively. And we're gonna create a Zod object here. What are we going to call it? So Z comes from Astra, by the way, if you just want to use the built-in. That's me lazily doing it. We could do that. There we go. And then we could just kind of move on. This is my really naive approach. This is also why server actions in tRPC make me very scared, because I'm betting server actions do not let you do everything you want to do with form data. Actually, I think they do give you form data. I don't know what they do. I think I like custom form data. Gonna try to build that. Well, okay. Yes. It sounds like you have experience with this and I don't. So if you want to build it, I trust you way more than I trust myself. But anyways, okay, I'll leave that heavy lifting till later. But here's what I want to do. I've cloned the request. I've got the form data. I'm doing the thing. I'm going to do a safe parse here. And we're going to have some errors, perhaps. And I don't know the type of it yet. I'm pretty sure it would be a type. Actually, I know the type because we just have name. There's a lot of data massaging in order to get the field errors type from a Zod schema. So I'm just going to tell you what it would be, which is that, right? Actually, everything is optional as well. So these are the field errors that you end up with. And we say if not parsed dot success, that. You can use flatten, but Zod has a really nice form errors field errors. They are designed to parse forms, so that's kind of nice. Now we have parse success. We have field errors. And we will render field errors below this, perhaps. And there's a million things that could happen here that we got to think about, but don't worry about that yet. Yep, and we're going to do something like that. Sure. And I think we have Tailwind in here. In fact, I know we do. So let's do a BG red of like 200 and color red 950. Or is it text? Did they map color to text because they hate CSS? Yes, no, they didn't. Wait, text red, yeah, and px 3, py, actually that's going to be too big, py1, text small, and maybe rounded edges. There you go. That'll look good. And then we have our input throwing an error. That's actually surprising. What happened? Wait, why is that an error? Cannot find name input. What's going on? On input is the clear here. What did we do? Are the language tools freaking out? Because what's wrong with this? I don't think anything's wrong with this. 1 second. What the heck is going on? If I cross this out, oh my god, it goes away. I'm just gonna ignore that. What the heck happened there? Yeesh. Dude, server actions in RC are a security nightmare. They are, because they imply. So, I agree they are. And I think I really like request response because we don't have to resume based on component props. Things get really, really weird when you run into component props. They get really, really weird. Oh, and the HTML partial is actually going to run into an issue here. It is. So this is where I was actually trying to figure out how to resume based on properties that are coming over to wire. So this is going to be our one issue of turning this into a partial. The ID and name are props, and once you re-render this component and you're treating it kind of as its own route, how would it know these props? They have to be form inputs so that it can resume. There's no other way to do it. It's really, really funky. So I did want a way to kind of like match up query parameters or form data as props, but for now we're gonna manually do this. So this is the one dance that we need to figure out. So props are actually going to be these optional things so that it can render as a standalone route. This will make sense in a moment. But yeah, this takes in properties. The name and the ID may or may not exist. And we need to resume the ID and name potentially from the form. Potentially from the form. I need to figure out some pattern in order to make this nicer. This is where the server actions dilemma comes in. Because server actions have the exact same problem. Where server action goes off. Server action triggers a re-render of the component. Component doesn't remember what its props are because you're just rendering that one part of the page. So React invisibly injects hidden inputs for every dependency the server action could have. This is the first time React has done magic in the DOM that I've ever seen. But React would inject the name and the ID without telling you. And it's up to you to pick up the pieces. It's a bit crazy. So I would like some sort of manual process to encode these, so that way we could parse them out of the form and kind of just figure it out. You know what I mean? But in here, it would be either name or parsed. And oh yeah. So there could be field errors. It could fail. Ooh, this is where it gets weird, because it might fail to resume. Yeah, there's all sorts of weirdness. I'm kind of getting in the way of my own demo here. But yeah, pre-roll. No, JK. Oh, you got pre-rolled? Okay, yeah, I feel like those are turned on by default now. I'm getting complaints that I used to not get about those. Are you still doing shadcn? As a destructive color that you could use and is reusable. Interesting. I am using shadcn, so I probably could reach for that if I wanted to. But I'm just using it for server-side templating right now, because I'm not using React on the client. It's a really fun world, where in Astro, you can use React just to do some JSX templating. So I'm doing that so I can use a nice styling library. Anyways, we are going to either have props come down from the parent or have props come from here, and it is a funky thing. We come from HTMX's lunch? Maybe. Is a CSS variable for Tailwind? Nice. So the card stuff, is that from Astro or from Tailwind or from... Great question. So we wrote up card content, and I'm just leaning on shadcn, which generated these for me. They're technically React, but they could be any templating language. You can treat components as kind of whatever, and in Astro, if you wanted to ship it, if it has client logic, you can do that. But it's kind of nice in Astro that I don't have to care. Maybe this was implemented as a view component. Maybe it was implemented as a plain HTML document. I don't really care. I just care that I can render it and pass props to it. Like, whatever, dude. So that's pretty cool, I think. You don't have to care where it comes from. But it does have Tailwind classes in my base Tailwind config. This is something that is globally defined, and I generated this from the shadcn library. But it's kind of cool that I don't have to care. In React, you absolutely would, because the client directive would be inside the component, and you would have to think, oh, is this about to ship client logic? I don't know. In Astro, you know if it shipped client logic because you turn the client logic on yourself. You have the power. You have the power. New Open API CEO? No. CEO of HTMX approves. Okay. Are you the CEO of HTMX? Am I talking to HTMX right now? Is there a spirit in the house right now? I'm consulting my Ouija board to find out. But if you are the CEO of HTMX, good to see you. Good to see you, sir. Are you JS Horse? I feel like you got to ask everyone that. Okay. So the issue is the ID has to exist in the form. Otherwise, we've screwed the pooch. And we actually are going to run into some more fundamental errors. So yeah, this gets really complicated. Use client does my head in. Yeah, I think Astro made the right call to let the user decide if it ships client logic instead of the component deciding that it ships client logic. We did it right. I do think at some point we might support React's use client directive just so people expect it. Screw the pooch. It does not get used enough. It is Midwestern. I'm not from the Midwest, but screwed the pooch. Can we agree? That's just that just feels good to say. Dang it, we screwed the pooch. We screwed the pooch, man. What the heck? What are you talking about? Just feels right. I don't know. It felt right. I'm sorry. Okay, so we could say ID string has a default of oh no. Just so we don't have to worry about it. Or actually no, I don't think we need to do that. I think we can just parse it. And whether it's successful or not, we can kind of just move on. Let me think here. I'm thinking about how I want to do this. Because ID has to exist, otherwise we've completely broken the form. Name could just be an invalid name. You know, name could just be missing, even though it was marked as required, which we should do at some point. Yeah, you could have like special refined validators. It's funny because it's like, if the ID is missing, we want to explode. If the ID is invalid, then we also want to explode. If the name is invalid, then we just want to show a form error. So it depends on how the field error worked out. And that makes perfect sense, actually. So it gives you the exact thing that went wrong. So we could say field errors are going to be ID string or name string, right? And we could say if field errors dot ID dot length greater than 0. I don't trust truthy values here. And we need a question mark, right? Oh, we actually screw it. Fine. Forget what I said. We're just gonna throw a 500. I don't really care. Actually, how about this? Screwed the pooch. And if we see that in our server logs, we know what went wrong. Otherwise, our ID must exist. Otherwise, our ID surely must exist. So instead of doing it like this, we're going to say ID, we're going to say name equals parsed. Okay, if it's not successful, then we actually do need to keep track of that. This is where things get really interesting with top-level logic. I might want to extract to a function or do something else. This is where I'm just hitting a control flow problem. This isn't Astro's fault. This is just my fault of how I want to structure my code. I don't know. Else ID, yeah, this is what we want to do. And we could say something like this. And we could kind of do that. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yeah, that's not an issue. So we could assign it and don't destructure it because that's going to be the problem. That's going to screw that pooch. So let's say let ID name equals that. Const. Actually, we don't even need any of that. Else ID. Oh, yeah, you could you do that? Oh! You can do that? That's insane. All right, interesting. All right, so we keep track of the field errors, we keep track of the ID and name. And if we have a really big problem, then we're screwed. Or we can say if not ID. Ooh, that's a real big one. Yeah, that's all we have to do now. Beautiful. So now we can just pass ID right here. Oh, perfect. Perfect. All right, we figured it out. We figured it out. So through this, it should parse it if it's successful. And if either of these are missing, then we screwed the pooch. And we'll just let that be a server error. URL was too long. Oh, no. Are you about to tell me why all these things are wrong? Because I'm sure some of them are. We had some debug statements accidentally get shown to end users. They had curse words for them. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful. Because this is going to be fetched client-side in order to handle it, so screwed the pooch would appear in your network. Leave the poor pooch alone! Justice for pooch! Yeah, as a user, if I saw this, I would giggle. So we're going to leave it. About the quick prototype for the form data parser. Oh my god, you already did? Dude, slow down. Let me finish this. Let me at least get something working. But yeah, this is roughly what I want to do. You got to start somewhere. I think there could be a world where we make this cleaner. I just got to find the right boundaries so that you still have control, but we make it at least a little bit cleaner. But yeah, this is how we do it. We have field errors name, we have the text, and we have the ID. We have type hidden on this because we just want it to work that way. There we go. So that passes up. Text name. That helps us resume. This is encoding server state to resume. I see you, Mint. I see you, Mint. All right, so now we have a form. Pretty cool. It's not going to do much. The default, because we are using handle forms. Actually, let me make sure we are. Yeah, we're not. Okay. So the default in Astro is to just say handle forms on your view transitions. And now, if we go to... Oh, yeah, we have a pin tab. I always forget I have a pin tab. But now these should be inputs, I think. Or no, they're not, because I'm not using this component yet. Duh. So let me go over to the boards route and map all of these to a form. Form. Sound form. Yes. Sound form. And spread the... don't say that. Spread, you got to be careful when you say spread something, all right? You got to be careful. I caught myself. Okay, so nothing is happening. Request form data cannot parse. Okay, that makes sense. So it is trying to parse form data every time, and we need to allow initial passes on the render. So let's go in here again. Yeah, we need to check. We need to check before we wreck ourselves. So we need to say if astro.request.method equals post, and this was code we had before, we just forgot about it. And astro request headers dot get. Come on, Copilot, you know what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm trying to do. Yes. No. Application. Isn't it like what is it? What is it again? I'm already forgetting. Dang it. I forgot. This is why I need the... Okay, yeah, that one. Let's be real. That is a really complicated header. I just can't remember the name of that. That is so much. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So this is the block. This is where we actually do all the parsing for it. This is where we do all the parsing. Okay, cool. So we say request, form data clone, parsed, yeah, field errors, and field errors need to be hoisted up if we have any, because we're kind of doing double duty here. We're both handling form request, and we're also just rendering the form request. It is a lot to think about. Complexity exists everywhere, but we could find a way to make it at least a little bit nicer. So yeah, we'll hoist these up, because there's no harm in that. And then we have screwed the pooch there. That makes sense. Okay, there we are. Yep, so that's what we would have to do. So the field errors come in. They're nothing by default. We have the ID and name coming down. They might not exist because we're going to use a partial, but we don't. Hey, duty. Nice, nice, nice. Just updated the Astro Raycast extension. Nice. Okay. Want to meet the person who decided that name? No, I don't. I don't see why. I don't see the name. I don't see the reason that we need that. I really don't. And it is a bit bad that we halt the dev server whenever you fail a request parse. That feels wrong to me. Okay, and that's HTML streaming, by the way. Because we stream results by default, it just streams. I've also run into this issue where the input has default styles, and for whatever reason, Tailwind doesn't zero it out. I think we're missing something in Tailwind that normalizes the inputs. Or it's a problem with ShadCN. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what's going on with that. Does anyone know why that might happen? Because I'm drawing a blank. I really don't know why. But I can at least reset it. Oh, does that not work? Oh, I got it wrong. It'd be something like that. Yeah, and look at that hot reloading for styles, baby. Shout out to hot reloading. Woo. Okay, so let's see here. And also, it's a different shade of gray. That's really bothering me, actually. I'm going to do border. Border, gray. So it's at least a little less noticeable. Do they do surfaces? I have no idea. Does ShadCN come with Tailwind pre-baked? I added the Tailwind myself, but it is definitely built for Tailwind. Okay, so this isn't working. BG. Oh, we have neutral. Maybe it's using neutral. I think they have some opinions about like BG card or something. Yeah, they do. BG background as well, and that'll adjust to light and dark mode. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. And then we'll change the text and see what that does. Okay, so that sent a form request. We didn't handle it at all, so that makes sense. But it came through here, it was successful, and it re-rendered with the input intact. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to console log this to make sure that we are successful. Okay, so if we submit this, new name, what do we get? Oh, we're not getting anything. That's a bit weird. So what is it doing? Is it handling the form request correctly? Is the issue that we need a form action? Let me see. Because I don't think it's sending another request through here. Or maybe that's not working. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so the request header is null for content type. Then we send a new request. We get multi-part form data. I knew it! I knew it! We gotta check for both! We gotta check for both! This is where a library would really... It would just be a simple check. Is form data. And it would check the content type and the method. Like, or is post request. Whatever that would look like. Yeah, something like this. Yeesh. Yeah, we'll get this looking nicer. And we also have some bad parentheses. We have some bad parens. Okay. But it's also boundary. WebKit form boundary. Yeesh. Oh my god. This is a mess. So I can start with that. Ugh. Forms are hard, man. And this is something I didn't think would be hard. I know forms are hard, but this is nutty. Why are we running into this? All right, now it's working. Now it is working. All right, and it looks like I manipulated a property. Okay, so I manipulated an astroprop. Ooh. Yeah, by doing this assignment, I somehow manipulated a variable in a way that I didn't expect. Oh, but actually that makes sense because it's re-rendering with the new state. Use enctype. Okay, I should probably do that. I'll get there. Well, actually, let me just do it now. What does this do? Enctype. Oh, okay. That's helpful. Is the mine type of the content is used to submit the form to the server? Possible values are these. Ambiguous format. Okay. So do I need to set this? Is this on the request? Because it looks like it's on a form object. So if I say... Yeah, there is no encoding type. Is there a way to get the encoding type off of the form, or do we have to parse it as form data first? I'm a little confused on that one, but I'm going to keep this for now. In the HTML form, ooh, where would I put that? Do I put it as a prop? How are you sending the form? I am just doing a post request, man. And I'm letting Astro intercept it, but my goal is to make it progressively enhanced. A prop? Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, very helpful. Thank you. Okay, interesting. Yeah, as a user, you know, I'd love to just use a form. Oh, I wonder how often we actually want that. I don't know. But yeah, now we could simplify this, couldn't we? So I could at least remove this check. Yeah, I'm debating if I like this or if the check that I have is okay. Because the check that I have feels fine to me. But that is good to know, that you can change the encoding type on a form. It also looks like we're re-rendering the whole page. It doesn't look like it's doing the Astro thing. It doesn't look like it's doing view transitions. So if I chuck a transition on this guy, transition name equals, and then just also use the form dash ID. Do the same thing. If I chuck that on there, no, it's not doing anything that Astro is supposed to be doing. Well, that's really weird. Did I update the right layout? Yeah, we have view transitions. Oh, maybe I'm on an old version of Astro? This is not good. Astro, you're supposed to do things. Where are you? We're on the latest version. Where are you? Astro, where did you go? You're supposed to be view transitioning my form, and you're not doing it. It was working. I swear it was. I'm very confused. Okay, now I think it's working. Or maybe it was always working. Yeah, because it looks like it's not re-rendering the whole document. It's re-rendering the page, but you can see, okay, there's a view transition right there. Okay, I'm wrong. Does Astro now support multi-part form data? What do you mean by that? Because I assume yes. I assume it does. Oh, I should probably remove the animate none, shouldn't I? Yeah. Forgot I added that to the body. I'm going to remove that. Just see how this looks. Okay, yeah, it fades between them. Nice. Okay. So this is a default experience in Astro where it will just re-request the whole page and do it. Now I wanted to play with a crazy idea. Watch this. Sound form. Move it to pages. Move it to pages. Boom. Move it to pages. What did he just do? Well, he turned the sound form into both a component and a route. So now if we went to boards/sound form, we would probably get screwed the pooch. In fact, we do. Because we just sent an invalid request to our sound form endpoint that we just invented. How about that? So now sound form is a partial, and we could handle refetching this partial. We do need to do some custom logic for this. I know that. But it shouldn't be too bad to implement, I don't think. So I already have Alpine mounted up, so I'm just going to play with ideas here. Let me think. So I want a submit handler, and I want that submit handler to do a navigate. We're not going to worry about redirects because that's going to need some special sauce. But at the very least, we're going to send a request for this partial. We're going to re-render it into our current form. We're also going to need some sort of identifier. I don't know what to call it other than data partial. This could be something that the compiler does. This could be all sorts of things. But let's just call it data partial, right? And then on submit, I'm going to handle submit. And I'm going to do a little bit of X data here. Alpine, yep, dot data, form, submit event. Thank you, sir. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's everything I want. I don't know about form action URL, method, request. Okay, not okay. That's mostly what I want, actually. I don't think you need 2 uppercase, but I'll take it, I guess. So this would send a post request, not to the correct endpoint, though, because we don't really care about the action anymore. The action is going to kind of hot swap depending on what we're doing. But let me see here. We're going to send a request to sound form. We're going to pass along the form data, as you would expect. We're not going to do navigate, because we don't want to navigate to the page. We want to fetch the data and hot swap it ourselves. We're going full HTMX mode here, but we're doing simplified HTMX, right? We're not doing all of their input handlers and special sauce. We're kind of just implementing a post request in HTMX. We're taking the one part from it that we like. So I'm going to remove both of these. We don't want that. URL, and we're just going to hard code this for now. board / kind of that. And we don't want update. We're actually just going to go to board / sound form, which is a route now. So the URL is that. The method is post. But we could also, we could just say post, because we have an opinion about this. The body is form data. And we probably want to set a content type. So headers based on the encoding type. And I'm pretty sure the event coming down is going to have some stuff on it. And, Alpine, I'm actually going to reach into this. This is a really cool thing in Alpine. Just get a reference to the current element, so you don't have to parse current target or whatever else. We also don't really need the event. I'm just going to lean on Alpine for that as well. So I'm going to say submit prevent, and we'll go over there. The form is just equal to this.l as HTML form element. Yeah, that'll do. So this is actually getting the enclosed wherever the data is declared, which isn't the best of things, but I really don't mind it. Yeah, that. Exactly that. Yeah, nice. So now we can get those attributes off of the form data. Form data is parsing the form directly. Not too bad. The URL is board / sound form. And then the response is going to be whatever comes back from this. So we also need to encode... No, I think that's everything. And this will give us a partial. We just need to decide what to do with it. If it's this, I'm actually just going to throw a Hail Mary. You can't parse as HTML, so I think we need to parse it as text and then do our appropriate logic to turn it into DOM. And I know that there's a way to do that. MDN parse text to HTML. DOM parser. Yep. Exactly that. I've used this a couple times before. You can form the opposite direction. Okay. Replace a portion of DOM with the new DOM trees. By saying the value of HTML, yeah. You can also see I'm in the exact right place. See, I know what I'm doing. Be aware of block level elements, DOM parser. Yep, returning an HTML document. Okay, that's exactly what I want to do. So I'm just going to log this for now, just to make sure it's working. Then I'm going to throw it into a DOM parser to see where we end up. We're implementing a lot of things that could be wrapped up in a helper function. But for now, I'm just going to do it like this. Multi-part boundary not found. Interesting. What does that mean? I've never seen this. What did I do? Oh my god. Do not declare the content type. Okay, I won't. Okay. Thank you. Also good music. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I should really have a bang music so that you can get the link to this playlist, but this is what I'm always looping. Eelf. It's a good set of house music right there, so enjoy that. It's a playlist of 1,000 songs that continues to update. It's beautiful. There's a Spotify playlist as well, if you prefer that. All sorts of things. You should make it bang ID. Ooh. Slow down with the bangs. Okay, so yeah, you're right, Pilcrow. If you pass form data, it sets the content type because of the body. That's my experience. So let me go ahead and remove that just to make sure we're not breaking the universe. Maybe that's our error as well. I have no idea. Okay, it is. Nice. So another thing, now we're opting out of Astro for this. So I'm going to say data Astro reload, which is not a good prop name, by the way. This is just saying don't handle the form with view transitions. Let me handle the form, and I will transition the content. So the default in Astro is honestly pretty lovely. I'm just trying to do things a little bit smarter. There we go. Okay, very nice. So this could have issues if you're loading styles and script tags. I know it could. And we would need special handlers to hoist those up and do other things. But for now, at least, we're just going to keep it simple and say we're using Tailwind. We don't rely on any special styles or scripts. We're just going to load it in line. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, if we have this, we have response.text. And we'll say HTML string, hopefully, is that. Yeah, it knows exactly what to do. There you go. Oh my god, it knows. It frickin' knows. It frickin' knew. Oh my god. So the ID needs to come from somewhere. And I think we can get it from the element that we're already on. Yeah, and I'll just let it keep rolling here. So yeah, I think we can be really smart about this. So the L has the attribute on it. Yeah, form.getAttribute data partial. Yeah, and here I'm going to say to do use Astro. Actually, we know the navigate API. So if there's not a partial ID, default to the Astro behavior. How about that? So we're going to say navigate to window location path name and pass up the form data. There you go. So as soon as you declare a partial of HTML, then we kind of just nope out of there. That's my thinking. So we're going to change this query selector as well. Yep, there you go. So now I have a partial ID, and I know a lot of this is really intense. I feel like we could make this a lot less intense. We're building an entire library that hot swaps HTML. We have libraries for this because it is so complicated. But look at that. You can replace the form with the rendered partial. So we assume that the form is the partial. It's possible that you have other stuff inside of here, like you have divs and cards and whatever else that you want to re-render instead. I'm aware of that. It depends on where the partial boundary is, to be honest. So here we're assuming that you can replace that, but maybe the partial ID is somewhere else. We don't know yet. That's kind of on us. So to be honest, yeah, we would probably have to we would need the Alpine data boundary to be somewhere. We're making a lot of assumptions, is all I'm saying. We're making a lot of assumptions about where the partial is, how you hot swap it, blah, blah, blah. But this is a cool way to do it. And I think you can apply view transitions to this as well with the view transition APIs. Else, we're also going to navigate, I think. So let me go ahead and do that. If we try to fetch the partial, then we're just going to bubble up to the page and try to do it that way. We're going to navigate to the window location and pass the form data that way and see if we can kind of fix it. Otherwise, try to do a hot swap of partials, baby. And this could fail anywhere. So we are also going to need this to do handle HTML parse errors. And I assume those would also attempt to do a full page reload. That's basically our default. We know that we could reload the whole page and it would still look good. So anytime we run into issues trying to do the fun way, default to the normal way. That's my thinking. Okay, and we don't even need this. I think it worked. I think it freaking worked. Did it work? Did we do this? Are we so back? So let me go ahead and also add something in here, like a minimum of 1 character or 2 characters. I don't know. Which is always a risk, by the way, because someone might have a 1-letter name for their sound, and it's a mess. But I'm just trying to do something to test the waters here. Or actually, I'll just do I'll keep it. I'll keep it. Obviously, we don't really need to verify any of that. But we could say if it's just like a 1-letter name. Ooh, okay. So we ran into an issue there. And this is a weird Chrome extension that is destroying my logs, and I have no idea what it is. It's really scaring me. I don't know what it is, and I just need to figure out how to remove it. Because I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's like, what are you? What background task? It's a mess. I don't know, man. But anyways, it looks like if we fail to parse, we don't handle the field errors gracefully. I'm thinking that's what's going on. So we handle the field errors, but the ID in name exists. So that's probably our issue, right? We want to get the parse data, but we're validating. So that's our issue. We're assuming that if it fails to validate, that we can't use it, which is kind of a bad assumption. It's a real bad assumption. Oh, and it's also hot swapping all of the... Wait, why would it hot swap all the forms? We'll get to that one. But I think it did a navigation because we got a response not okay. That was the issue. Wait, is that the speech from the great... Oh, boy. I don't know what you're referring to there. Yes. All right, so let's continue. I'm still trying to figure out how this would work because there's a lot of conditionals and a lot of things. The first pass of anything is going to be insane. So this isn't discouraging me. It's just making me realize there's a lot of different boundaries that we need to look at. There's a lot of different boundaries. So we probably want to check that the ID and name exist first. So the object is from that, and we could do something like this. We'll attempt to assign it from the object, and it's probably going to freak out on me. It's a form entry value. Oh, yeah, it would be a form entry value, wouldn't it be? Okay, well, that's odd. Yeah, so I'm just going to say if type of obj.id equals string, and yeah, this is just a very basic check. Yeah, we would do something like that. Yeah. To do figure out boundary between required props and validated, because I'm still trying to figure that one out. Okay, that worked for hot swapping, I think. Aha! It works! Partials! Yeah! We did it! It's a lot of code. We're still trying to figure out stuff, but we did it! We did it. Oh my god. We did it. We figured it out. Partial re-rendering. So there's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of assumptions in here. Figuring out where to put the HTML when you re-render, that is confusing. Figuring out all the errors and deciding what to do, that is confusing. But some early things that I'm really excited about. Anytime we fail to do our cool way, we can fall back to Astro and do it that way. We can fall back to Astro. So let me show you something here. Because SoundForm is both an endpoint and a component, which is just wild to think about. Because it's both a component and potentially an endpoint. Watch me disable JavaScript. JavaScript disabled. It works. They all update because that's how I set it up on the server, but it works without JavaScript because it renders the page top down. But because we split out part of our page as an element, we can even submit the form again. And now it updates inline and even re-renders errors. Boom. Boom. This is exciting. Test errors without JS. What does that mean? Okay, so this is where we get to now challenge Ben to find out all of the reasons that this could break. Because there are many. There are many reasons that these assumptions could break. I hate the ergonomics of this, where I have to say it's either props coming down from the parent document or it's coming from the form to resume the props. Like, that is a lot to think about. Happy path only. Baby, yes, exactly. So there's a reason I've called all of my libraries simple form or simple stack is what we're working with. Is like, I'm only trying to address the simple use cases here. So if you run into really complex stuff, use Formic, use React with a client-side form validator. Don't use any of this. Just throw away all of the progressive enhancement and stuff if you really run into a complex form that this doesn't address. The beauty of Astro is you can always use the client-side JS patterns that you probably know about or that exist in the community. You can do that. But if this works for you, then you can do it. Or don't use React. You can also do that. You can use a web component library that manages form validation. You could make a better system that, yes, re-renders the page, but also handles things effectively. You could do all sorts of things, for sure. You could. Okay, but anyways, we got partials working, and it really wasn't that hard to figure out. I love that Copilot knew exactly what we were doing. Like, dude, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. So here's what we can do. We can say if partial HTML replace with else throw new error, partial not found. And then we'll just do a catch block that doesn't navigate. There we go. It knows. So yeah, we'll try to replace the partial. Otherwise, just return from the server. The beauty of this assumption is we don't run into the same issues that HTMX has. My main issue with HTMX is there's no progressive enhancement. You have to use client-side JavaScript to manage any update ever. And if it ever fails to do an update, how do you handle it? You could put error states that say something bad happened in the server, but where do you put that error? I have no idea. I would much rather do a page re-render with view transitions to make the page re-render look nice, and then try to sort it out with a full top-down re-render. And if something fails there, you could show an error banner somewhere completely separate on the page. Because with HTMX, it's like, yes, I can send a request for a partial, and yes, I have the HTML. Where do I put it? And now you have to do all these query selectors inside of your HTML to figure out, okay, I got HTML from the server. I guess I put it here, and I guess I'll put it on that ID. But wait, that ID doesn't exist. Oh, God, I guess I'll put it over here. Like, that's the way the issue is there's no progressive enhancement, so there's no way to re-render the page top down. So there's no way to do, like, error states that are top level, our server is busted. This is way better. Because I'm imagining a library that implicitly adds this partial and checks for it appropriately. That's what I'm imagining. So that way you don't have to figure out query selectors to take a response from the server and plop HTML somewhere. Yeah, you could also redirect, but where would I guess I guess you would redirect to the current page to render it top down. I guess that would work. But again, the fact that you have to split out your endpoints is also an issue. Because remember, here's the big one. Sound form is also a component. We're rendering sound form directly inside of the page and also splitting it out to an endpoint. You could do that with HTMX. You could call your own server endpoint to render the form and then wire it up separately. But it's not as simple as creating a component inside of your pages directory and importing it anywhere you want to render that partial HTML. Like, there's nothing simpler than just treating your endpoint as a component. There's nothing simpler than that. So Astro definitely helps you there in having the progressively enhanced story as just something you don't think about. Do we need to handle the parsing error? Can't we assume the response is valid HTML? We could assume it. This is definitely just a precaution. But I'm just really worried that it would fail to parse the HTML for one reason or another, and we need to handle it somehow. This is just me being worried and putting a try-catch. You could arguably not do it. I don't know. We could definitely assume it, though. Complex forms may need JS, but this is perfect for simple use cases. That's exactly what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So yeah, I feel like I would need to do this pattern a bunch of times in a bunch of apps so that I know all of the challenges we could run into. Because this was just a shower thought that I wanted to write as code. But turning this into a generic utility, I feel like there's so much to think about still. There's so much I want to build. My reason for HTMX, I don't need to write JS. Well, you see, if you're in that camp, then you're probably not using Astro either. You're probably not using any of these server-side JS solutions. So just don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. If you're in that camp, yes, HTMX is the way to go. That's a separate need. Then you should add try-catch to the form data parsing. Probably, yeah, I should probably add it everywhere, shouldn't I? Yeah, I guess you're right. Sometimes it's just not worth the try-catch wrappers. Sometimes it's not worth handling the error. So yeah, I do feel like if we can't find the partial in the document, we should probably navigate, but we don't need the try-catch for the rest. That's fair enough. That should error in your browser. That should error in the browser. All right, I'm convinced. Thank you, sir. You simplified my code just a bit. Yeah. Dude could unsend me this. It's great art. Yeah. Yeah, this feels like art, what I've written here. It's really fun. Okay, so there's a lot to... So the last thing that I want to do, you'll notice that it doesn't transition between the states. So I think we need to say MDN view transition. Because it's just a function, right? To transition fragments of HTML. Because that's another thing, is yes, you can use Astro to view transition the page. But that's going to view transition everything. And even with simple websites, it's infeasible to render the whole page again. Because you might have a footer that's being fetched from a CMS and a header that's being fetched from, your markdown data. And you don't want to reparse it every time. You also don't want to put cache headers on everything. Ideally, it would just render the first time, and for mutations, it would re-render the parts that care about that mutation. That's what I'm thinking about, to be honest. It's like, yes, I could re-render the whole page, and the experience is good. But even for simple sites, it's going to refetch a lot of things, which might bother you. Yeah, there is the argument, though, that mutations... Like, if you send a post request and I'm on, like, an e-commerce site and I add to cart, I don't care if it takes 3 seconds and it has to re-render the whole page. But still, it would be cool if it didn't do that. It would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, here we go. So you can do a start view transition. And you can do update the DOM somehow. So can I just do document.startViewTransition, or do I do like element.startViewTransition? Like, what do I do? The problem is Copilot won't help because it doesn't know about these new libraries. Do you have to do document? Oh, it doesn't even know about the startViewTransition API. Huh. How would it work? Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Display new image. This is the target identifier. Interesting. So it starts a view transition at the document level, even if it is a small thing. So I think I need to say document.start view transition and just wrap what I had. Is that what I have to do? I'll do it. Let's find out. And it doesn't even know because of how new it is. Okay, I think it's working. It's working! Oh, wow, it really is that simple. We love you, view transitions. Yeah, and I guess I need an esignore or something. Yeah, I guess it would just do something like that. I don't know. That feels right. This is the same principle Remix uses. Just use forms and let the backend handle it. I'm not sure if I can use a page as a component, though. Yeah, you can't. So Remix doesn't make you think about partial re-rendering because they use nested layouts. And they have gone through a lot of turmoil trying to find the perfect routing convention for nested layouts. And to be honest, I think nested layouts were a bad idea. The thinking behind nested layouts is I don't want to import a layout manually every time. So I just want a nested layout that applies every time. And also, I don't want the whole page to re-render on a form request. I know. Let's have form handlers inside of each nested layout so that way you're just requesting that fragment of the page. So their method for defining fragments is at the nested layout level. You could have a handler for sound form, for example, and I would probably in Remix put this navbar inside of a nested layout, and then I would put my action handler where all of my sounds are listed out here. It would still re-render all of the forms anytime, but we would use React and Virtual DOM diffing to just update the parts that care. It's not a bad pattern. It works decently well, but you end up with funny cases like, ooh, I have a bunch of forms on here and they all have different names, so I'm going to need a hidden type attribute, which I'll admit we run into as well. But it does force all of your action handling to funnel up into an action data function. The beauty of Astro is everything is server first, so I can do a request clone inside of any component boundary anywhere and handle it there. Instead of having to have an action data that's kind of this God object that handles every form that could ever be on the route, I can put handling for anything that cares about a form anywhere in the component tree. So we removed the thought of nested layouts because nested layouts lead to weird conventions, they lead to weird file naming. Just have every document render as HTML top down. I believe in that pattern and I still believe in it. And move all the action handling into the component boundaries and do it there. We didn't even have to do this partial re-rendering thing. Our initial solution that just let the page re-render and view transitions update is fine. It's the equivalent of having a route in Remix without a nested layout. It's about as wasteful because it has to request all of that new HTML and reconcile it. I do believe it takes JSON and updates to client.js though, so maybe it's less wasteful in Remix. Yeah. This was just an optimization to re-render a specific part of the page without nested layout boundaries, like component boundaries. So there you go. Okay, I need to turn off my aggressive ads. I'm sorry. Because I don't really gain much from ads. I'm making literal pennies on the dollar for that, so I should probably fix that. Yeah, I want to like Remix, but the routing and the lack of... I didn't know they lacked middleware. That seems like a gross oversight, but all right. Yeah. I don't know, man. So anyways, I feel good about this. I feel really good about this, actually, now that I've seen it played out. And the progressive enhancement story is lovely. You had to reconnect in order to blow away the ad. Nice. But look at this. I mean, look at us. Oh, I think I broke it. Wait, so the type of is not a function? Wait, why does this not work? I actually have no idea. I don't know why that doesn't work. Wait, it was working before. Does it not do a view transition? Oh. Huh. Weird. I don't know why it's doing that. I really don't. Okay, I'm also just going to make this a little bit fancier just to see if it works. So it would be cool if it scaled up the field error. You know what I mean? Like it went from small to swoop. I don't really know how I would do that, to be honest, but it would be cool if I could. Oh, another nice thing about this. It preserves your input. Because before, in order to preserve an input between renders, you have to put transition persist, which isn't a bad pattern. This avoids blowing it away because we don't know what the state is. But now that the props can also come from inputs, like we kind of just take in all of the inputs and map them onto props, because we do that, we can avoid that class of problem because the server knows what the input value is and it just sets it. So that's kind of cool. Astro's better. Okay, you would know, but we have better middleware than Next.js and Remix. That is high praise. Well, okay, Next.js, it's a low bar, but it's high praise, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I do need to figure out what to do here because what we're basically saying is any component props also need to be present in the form because otherwise it cannot resume. This is a compromise of using a partial. Is because you're not re-rendering the whole page. It doesn't know what all of the database items are. A cool thing that this unlocked is now we don't have to refetch all of the boards from the database. We're instead just re-rendering based on the ID and name that we know. But this also has like the other, scary assumption of like, we're not refetching from the database every time. So you might hit a weird state of I updated an item in the database and it was deleted by someone else. And all of a sudden we have this phantom update that failed for unexpected reasons. So there's a push and pull here. But one nice thing is that we no longer have to request boards every time you update the board. Instead, it would just update the board. And if it failed to update, well, we could handle that here. Maybe there was a deletion or something like that. But yeah, we don't have to like fetch all of the boards just to figure out the ID and name again. Instead, the ID and name are encoded in the form so the server can resume with that state and go ahead and update it appropriately. So that is, there's a lot to it. And this is why server actions are scary from a security point of view, is they insert these for you. In our case, we know ID and name are secure values, and we don't care if they're exposed in the client.js. But what if this relied on a user object? What if the user was coming down as a prop and we weren't fetching it manually? You should fetch your user manually using Lucia, by the way. But let's say we pass down user as a prop. Well, the only way for this fragment to re-render is if we encoded the user into this input. We have to say name, user, value, some sort of JSON stringify on the entire user object. React would magically do that for you if the server action had that dependency. And you have to know, oh God, maybe don't. It does do hashing if you use Next.js, but the fact that that's all implicit is really scary. So also, Pilcrow, this is why in my proposal, I was coming up with something like this. Or maybe in our case, it would be Astro partial props. So this would be a way to encode all of your props as hidden inputs so it could resume with the props that the component expects. So you don't have, yes. I'm glad that finally clicked. Obviously, this has dangerous implications, but I like making it manual. So that way you know as a user, I'm encoding all of the props that this component receives as form inputs so we can resume it later. And if it fails to validate, if we're encoding something that is unsafe, then obviously we have screwed the pooch. We have screwed the pooch, and we should not have done that. So I think we could even be smart about this and say you can only encode simple inputs like strings and numbers. If it's a full-on object that the component receives as a prop, we're just not going to encode it or something like that. I don't think we need like a taint API. This is why React has that, is because in React, you have to mark any objects that should not be encoded in a form so that it doesn't leak those scary objects into the HTML. That sucks. having to be really smart about, oh God, I got to wrap every single object with taint reference, so it doesn't end up in my form by accident because magic bundler. Wouldn't it be nice if it was manual so that you knew what you were encoding? Feels like that's what we should do. You would have to not only serialize it, but encode it using crypto. Yes, you would encode it using crypto. That's exactly what you would be doing. And we can do that. We can. And we could unencode it on the other side. But that is effort, and that is difficult. We also do need to figure out how to encode props as inputs with crypto. And decrypt it as well. How would you do any of that? And also, this is one thing that we would need a special helper for. So this would be like resolve from form. I'm imagining what userland utility could do this. I think it would be something like this, that's able to take in both the Astro request and the Astro props, or maybe the form data that comes in from the request. I don't know. So that way it could resolve the props from the request, and you don't have to do any of the bundling yourself. There's some userland library that can make this happen. There's some userland library. I just want to knock down all of the scary stuff one by one until we hit a user library that just feels good from the start. Just take the entire Astro object. It could, yeah. I would probably do that, actually. I would do that. I would 100% do that. And on the other side, I would probably say, like, pick off of the Astro Global props and whatever else. This is something that really bothers me, by the way. Tell me if you run into this. User libraries that say, parse form, right? And it says Astro Global. And it only cares about 2 properties on the Astro Global. Oh yeah, that's a type. And it's like, dude, maybe I'm in a context where I just have the request, but you're making me pass the whole Astro Global. Be smart about your objects. Always use a pick in order to pick out the specific keys that you need off of an object. Even if you want to use it, if you're writing a library, always use pick to grab the things you want. Yeah, always do that. Because otherwise the user will complain that you need to pass props that you never cared about. You were just lazy, man. You were lazy. So be smart. Be smart. That's what we would do. Side tangent. But anyways, I think I found the bones of what I want. Oh, we screwed the pooch. How did we screw the pooch? Oh, did the server stop? Oh, we removed a hidden input. Yep. So right now we say screw the pooch if you ever miss an input. Yeah. So we would do something like that. Yep. And you can see it also doesn't persist the input. So I don't know if this works because we have our custom differ, but I'm going to say transition persist to preserve focus state. Because you notice there, it preserved the input, but it lost my focus state. Okay, yeah. So transition persist is only usable when you use Astro's transition. So maybe we could have some way to expose transition from Astro. So instead of us manually writing a start view transition, Astro would give us the nuts and bolts. So stuff like transition persist works. Because this is specially handled to avoid transitioning this element. That way the focus state remains. Yeah, so we're going to need a custom handler for that. Let me add that. To do handle, handle transition persist during a partial transition. Yep. So this would still work if we let Astro just do its thing and diff the whole page. This would still work if we did that. But because we don't, it sadly does not work. I've also added a transition name to the card header. I don't think I need it. I'm going to remove it. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. So what I'm also going to do, just to see if this works, I'm going to put the error above the input to see if it shifts down. I don't like this API, by the way. I'm not going to do it. I think we can just do that. And we're assuming that every ID is unique. Okay, that did not work. Unexpected duplicate view transition name. Okay, that makes sense. Ooh, is that why my database has been breaking this whole time? Oh, I was lazy. My IDs aren't unique, dude. They're not unique. Okay, that explains everything. There we go. Nice. There we go. So we lose input focus because we didn't do that properly. We could have a manual way to focus it, or we could figure out some way to diff persist or whatever. But I think the real way to do it is to have Astro expose its transition function, and maybe it does. Oh wow, we have supports view transitions as well. That's really nice. Transition enabled on this page. That's also there. Very cool. So Navigate is the API that kind of wraps everything. What we ideally want is a way to, oh, and look at Astro Prefetch. We ideally want a way that gives us transition instead of navigating and transitioning. Something to expose the transition persist. You know what I mean? But I love that this exists. So we could actually say, is that a function? I actually don't know. Nope. Yeah, I think we forgot the else block. I think that's why we were breaking before. So that's cool. Now if it supports it, it'll do it. Otherwise, it won't. But it looks like it's transitioning all of the forms because I see a little fade there. That's weird. Shouldn't it just be transitioning the partial that we're re-rendering? Maybe they're all... No, that doesn't make any sense. Why is the whole page transitioning? I actually don't know. I can't explain that. Because we did start a view transition. And I guess it's... Nah, I don't understand. Why would that cause all of the layout to flicker? Wouldn't it not do that? I'm confused. Or maybe if supports view transitions is not working how I expect. Let me double check this. Let me see what we get. Oh, we're not getting anything. Yeah, we're not getting anything. So we're not getting here. Huh. Wait, what? Wait, who? Wait, what? Wait, something's failing. What the heck? We broke it. My beautiful boy. It's not even getting here. It's not even fetching. Okay, so there's something more fundamental going on. We have data Astro reload. We have X data form. We have submit prevent. We have everything that we need. So what's going on, man? One second. It's just not working anymore. What did we do? What did we do? I'm so confused. It's not even running my submit handler anymore. It's like Alpine just disappeared from my app. I'm going to restart my server. I think Alpine just died. Why would Alpine die? Thank you, sir. That helped me refocus. I'm very confused. It's just submitting. It just doesn't even care. It just doesn't even care. Is it the transition persist that broke everything? When did we break? I should have done a commit when we had something working, because then I would just revert. Ugh. Is the script tag loading? Is the form? Is this loading? By the way, Astro doesn't have all of the TypeScript inferencing right now, which kind of sucks. But yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Ugh. Oh, God. Sorry. Form. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not mounting up. Oh, yeah. Alpine's just not running anymore. Why did Alpine just die? So it looks like it's not mounting up with xdata form correctly. It's just not loading. All right, so this is an Alpine issue, not a me issue. What? That's a bummer. All right, last check. Is the script loading in the browser? Does our script tag even load? Oh, no. Our script tag doesn't even load. Oh, no. Our script tag went away. Yikes. Yikes. Yeah, our script tag is gone. It's gone, mate. No, I didn't disable JS. I just checked, and our view transition still fires. Our script tag doesn't load. What? 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 What did we do? And why did it disappear now? Is it supports view transitions that's just breaking? 1 second. No. I'm so confused. I have absolutely no idea. We had something working. It was great. What? Don't do this to me. Why? Why are you doing this? Well, you know I have to do this. The inline script doesn't load either. Something happened in our bundle. I'm wondering if it's because it's a page and a component at the same time. Did that break everything? I have no idea. Dang it. I don't know, man, but our bundler completely broke. I've never seen this happen in Astro history. This is a whole new experience for me. But this is bad. This is show-stoppingly bad. Can I get any script tag to load? Nope. Oh, wait a minute. My info logs. Oh! I turned off info level logs because of reasons. Okay. I'm an idiot. Me doubting Astro before I doubt myself. Never do that. Astro's always right, and you're probably wrong. Okay. I'm an idiot. There we go. Oh, it did the thing again? Yeah, I've noticed this happens sometimes where you do an auto import and it imports in the server side instead of the client side script. It's not great. Okay, there we are. We're so back. We're so back. I still get a flicker, which is a bit weird. Yeah, it's only doing that, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't know to leave these well enough alone. I don't know why that is. It should just be transitioning the thing. Is this Astro with HTMX? Nope. It's Astro vanilla with our own setup on top of it. We invented something that is kind of like HTMX, but fully progressively enhanced. And as soon as we get the libraries right, pretty easy to use. So let me walk through one more time what we built. So we set up a simple page of soundboards. This is, it doesn't actually let you upload sounds right now, but these are each rendered out as separate HTML form elements. And ideally, we can parse all of those as separate form requests. So I've rendered those out in a simple map from my homepage. Here's the sound form. And our sound form is a route unto itself. That's because we both want to render the sound form inside of the page, and we want to re-render just that sound form block anytime we submit our form. So I have treated a component as a page, but thinking about it like a page first, you can see it takes in the ID and name, might process field errors if we're doing with a post request. Right here we have a very lengthy check. We could probably simplify this. But we take the request, we look at the form data, we parse that baby out, and we say, if not parse success, go ahead and render out some field errors into the setup. And I'm thinking about how to make this look a little nicer. Don't worry about it too much, but this is resuming the props inside of the ID. Don't worry about that. But then down here, if we have success, then we go ahead and take the form data out, we put it into the properties, and we render some plain old HTML. So you can see here, this is turning Astro off so we can do something custom. We have this partial, and in HTMX, you know how you like tag elements where you want to take some HTML and replace the contents? That's what we've done here. I'd love for this to be an implicit thing that a library does for you, so you don't have to deal with the weird, okay, I did a HTML request, I have this HTML, now I don't know how to put it on the page. This manages it for you. Literally at the component boundary, replace it with the component's contents. Then it's a post request. We put an encoding type. Thank you, Pilcrow, for telling me about this. And then we're using Alpine in order to override the submit. This is, a custom library. I could have used a web component too, or done whatever I want. But I can say prevent the default, and I'm going to handle the submit myself. Sick. I'm glad you already like it. But yeah, you can see here we're encoding the component props as form inputs. That way, when we re-render the form, it knows all the component props and can kind of start over again. But this is the name. This is what the user's inputting. Or at least this is right here. So we have the form name. I'm going to remove this because it's a little confusing. And I also don't think I need this. Okay, this is to animate it. So this is for animations. You don't need it, though. You can see, though, it's type text. It's got a value of name, and that's the server rendered value that gets sort of resumed. Then inside of our submit, this is where things get fun. We're going to do a request to the component's route. So this is where the component exists as a route on our server. This is where we're going to render the result of that request. If there's not a partial ID, if we're not trying to use HTML partials, re-render the whole page. Because remember, this is also just a component on the page. So you can just say re-render the whole page top to bottom if we're not trying to partially re-render the page. Do a whole page re-render. Pass up the form data and do that. This is a nice library from Astro to avoid refreshing the page. This is going to do view transitions to make it look nice. But yeah, if it's not a partial update, do a full page update. That's what this means. Then we're going to fetch the component as HTML. If it doesn't work out, again, do a full page re-render. Otherwise, parse out the HTML contents, and we're going to plop it where that partial is. And we're going to check if we support view transitions. If we do, we'll animate it sexily. Otherwise, we'll just replace the contents. So even if you don't have view transitions in your browser, this still works. And if anything goes wrong, again, we don't find the partial, we're going to do a full page re-render. And that's it. A lot of this can be wrapped up as a Astro library. I'm going to figure out what those boundaries are as soon as I feel good about the pattern. But with that, whenever you submit a form update, we just transition this into view, and that's it. Really freaking cool. And also, because you can handle form request anywhere in a component tree, I can disable JavaScript, send the form request, and it works. I think it's updating all of them because I'm just an idiot. I think I'm doing updates wrong because I didn't actually want to update contents. I was just trying to demo forms. But you can see here, it's a full page re-render to also handle it correctly. So progressively enhanced without having to think about it, partially updated so it's granular as hell, and it's just HTML. There is no server components. There is very low client-side JavaScript. Yes. Love it. Thanks for the breakdown. You're welcome. I'll probably post that breakdown to YouTube as well. Yeah. So that is HTMX partials in the browser. If you think that is cool, definitely smash that like button and subscribe. We're going to have a lot more content coming. That was my outro if I turn this into a YouTube video. I think it could be a cool YouTube video, but it would be a really weird YouTube video, probably. It would get like no views. But hey, you gotta show people what they want. Yeah, so that's it. Whew, I'm out of breath. That's the end of our stream, I think. We've been streaming for a good 2 hours. 2.5 hours. But I was excited, and we got everything done that I wanted to get done. I didn't expect that to happen. Oh yeah, we'll also just do a chore or depths bump Astro. This was just a little refactor to turn it into HTML. Someone was asking, can you just render HTML as a component in Astro? Yes, you can. If you have an HTML document, you can render it as HTML. It's really cool. It's a nice pattern. Yep. Refactor logo.html, and then here, feat partial form updates. I don't even know what to call this. I want something sexy like step aside HTMX, or we built a better HTMX. I love turning HTML into HTML. It's like, this is what Astro's doing. HTML, HTML. Well done. Or just the shake hands meme, HTML, HTML, HTML. Here's the thing I mentioned earlier. Okay. Thank you for that. I did actually lose lose the thread there. Ooh, I also need to save us change to something. But also, generally, do people think I have something here, or am I just insane? I'm actually kind of curious. Am I crazy for thinking this could be a pattern? Or is this just, even as a library, way too much work, this will never happen, I want to re-render the whole page? Like, am I totally off base, or is there something here? Because I think there's something here. And the fact that I could do this without updating Astro Core makes me really, really excited. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have something here. I feel like I do. I just got to work out, how do we make this feel good? How do we make it feel good? Oh, what is this? Oh, right. This is your form checker. This is doing a lot of things that I want already, I think. So type form data, constructor is that, get the form data. You're using a class. I heard you like classes, Pilcrow. You're refactoring a lot of Lucia internals to classes. Welcome back to object-oriented programming. Welcome back. Java missed you, for sure. Giving you a hard time. All right, get number. It's a string, return number or null. Get string, if not value, return null. Parse value is nan, return null. I like the look of this. Okay. And then we do get string, get the string. Get checkbox, I like the look of that. So we had the base form data, that's that. Typed form. You can say get string, get number, get checkbox. And you could pass that to a Zod validator appropriately, I would think. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. So you take in the form data. You can get them as parsed values. Classes without inheritance. Yes, exactly. I think there is nothing wrong with classes without inheritance. That was a double negative. I think class without inheritance is pretty dang cool. I think it is pretty cool. Yep, I like it. This is something I've been thinking about, but it's a great pattern that, yeah, it can be extraordinary. I see what you did there. Yeah, the one thing that I'm debating is how the submit handler is going to work. I obviously just did some gunslinging Alpine, but if I turn this into a generic library, I would obviously wrap this in a web component. I just didn't want to. Because now that I've learned Alpine, I'm like, that's pretty good. And you could also be really smart about this and say something like this if you really cared. Add input, debounce. Yeah, you know Copilot, you know. You could do something like this and trigger the submit every 500 milliseconds if you just wanted to have like a streaming input. And you could also, it would be cool if Astro, I'm just going to keep going here. It would be cool if it told you transition pending. So then I know that we sent a server request, we're waiting on the response, and I want to show a loading indicator. It would be cool if we had transition pending, which is kind of like React's view transition, but less confusing and weird. So I could hook into it, and I could show a little loading state. I would love that. I might use vanilla.js. Honestly, fair. Web components are just a way to kind of shrink wrap generic stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just a way to shrink wrap the updates. The only reason I wouldn't do this right now is because the input would lose focus while you're typing. We need to support transition persist, which basically says, I want you to exclude this when you take in the view transition. I want you to exclude the input so as I'm typing, it doesn't blow away and I don't lose focus. So we would need that in order to support this new pattern. So yeah, we'll figure that out. I think Astro needs to expose something for that. Can't wait for Astro web components. Fuzzy, do I say the line? Do I say the line? I don't think so. Astro has web components, baby. We've had them the whole time. Say it with your chest. No. There. X element, baby. It's been here the whole time. It has been here the whole time. And can be considered stable as a V2. What? It's not V1. But you can see here, look at this. To be honest, revisiting this looks like some of the magic that Alpine lets you do, but type safe without strings, which really does make me reconsider my Alpine recommendation. This is a thought. This is definitely a thought. I'm curious about, so what worries me doing something like this? The reason that I like Alpine using string wrappers is I know that it's going to ship what is in that string directly to the browser. It unlocks cross-site scripting and you have to sanitize your Alpine because it does unsafe eval. I know, it's bad, but because it's inside of a string, you know that it's shipping to the browser and you don't worry about closures. Because see here, yeah, I'm declaring a count, but what if I rely on a server value? What if I'm like updating stuff and I expect this server function to like encode? Like you're blurring this server client boundary and it unlocks all these weird issues that you've run into with server rendered things for years. I like that Alpine just removes that whole class of issues because everything's in a string body. So you can't reach for things inside of your Astro server. It has the obvious con of I have to write a script tag and import everything manually. But it makes the boundary really clear, and this blurs it in a way that might lead to weird practices. I don't know. Because I'd worry about how this stringifies, you know what I mean? But I also love it because editor tooling just works. I don't know. Oh, observe data. Ah, man. You're after my heart here, Fuzzy. I may actually have to try X-Element again because it reminds me a lot of what I'm liking about Alpine. I'm just very wary of libraries that are pre-V1 and, to be honest, not actively maintained. Oh, wait, it's version 3.2. I'm going to shut up. I thought you said it was 0.23. Oh! When we were talking earlier, you meant Astro 0.23. That's what you meant. I thought this was pre-1.0, but it's not. Never mind. That's something you can do, but shouldn't, like, write a function in server side and pass it over. Yeah, that's the issue, is, like, it makes it so easy to do that. And I like that Alpine purposefully doesn't support that at all. For language tooling, this is absolutely lovely. I know that. But it has all sorts of bundler implications that are like, well, you're letting me do some weird stuff. And I know that users are going to put functions inside of their server thing, put it in here, and wonder why it doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what if I put a Zod parser? What if I import Zod and try to parse it? It'll break because it'll pass it to the client. Zod doesn't serialize, and then Zod breaks because of the input handler. Like, that kind of sucks. It's, I like that there's editor tooling, but I don't like that it lets you do anything you want in here, and you could rely on it. I'm really interested in this, and I'm going to allow this. I'm really interested in this. Bring back jQuery. Oh, God. JSQuery. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, man. We're back. We are so back. Oh, I don't know about this, man. Oh, let's go. Okay, we're getting wacky, dude. We are getting wacky. I love Jess, by the way. Great dude. He's got some awesome videos on server components and other stuff. Follow this man. He is doing God's work. Double $! Oh, cash money ×2. Turn up. Why is there a double $? Okay, so you can do all sorts of fun things with it. Man, this is cool. This is pretty cool. I just hate all the get element by ID. Well, that's the problem with jQuery. That's why I like Alpine again, is there is no get element by ID. It is all encoded in the HTML. Closers are HTML. There is no perfect solution, but Alpine draws the right boundaries where I'm like, that's good enough. That's good enough. I don't have to query select or anything. Like if we head over to this, you know, I didn't even have to do event current target. It's just like this element. Give me this element as HTML. Yeah, whatever, dude. and I can reach inside that. Like, yeah, web components could do that too. But if we sling jQuery like the old days, everything is global and we're back where we started. I don't know. I can't get behind it. I was never a jQuery guy. I actually had to use jQuery to write unit tests because Cheerio uses jQuery. It's like a server-side query select. And I hate it. I don't remember any jQuery. None of the properties make sense to me. I just want to use document.querySelector. It's I didn't like jQuery originally, and I'm not sure I'm here for a revival. But Jesse, I love you, and I'm glad it exists. I am. So yeah, those are my qualms with XElement. I feel pretty strongly about that. I wonder if we could wrap these in template strings that are like client or something like that, because we're blurring boundaries and it can get really confusing. I don't know. Or like client and then template string, and then we have editor tooling in order to resolve that. I feel like that would solve it a little bit. So you can't just import and then worry about what the bundler is going to do. It's a pretty fundamental suggestion, so I mean, I don't know what to do about that. You know, Alpine and HTMX enhance all copied, yeah. Fuzzy, I bet you would hate Alpine and maybe dislike HTMX as well because of all of the security vectors that they kind of open up. You know? At least here, we're using a DOM parser and we're being pretty smart about only listening to events on our domain. But HTMX lets you fetch HTML from anywhere, and it lets you write strings of JavaScript in your attributes, which it has to compile with eval. I'm pretty sure. Alpine is the same problem. They both got issues, man. They both got issues. But yeah, let me show you something that you can do in Alpine. Actually, this is actually pretty easy to do. If I go to Alpine components or something like that, I have access to all the Alpine components, so I'm just going to show you one of the free ones. But yeah, if you look down here inside of, oh man, where is it? Anywhere that they define xdata, to be honest. You're defining these things, but you can also define functions. You can define anything you want in an xdata boundary. So it's just a string that evaluates the function. And we discovered they use a function constructor, maybe, instead of using eval, but it is still possible for a user to input an Alpine class in their CMS. Like maybe we're rendering Markdown from a CMS. What if the user puts malicious Markdown that has all these tags and Alpine just runs scripts because it's gobbling up every script tag or every xdata property it sees? The user has a really clear method of attack to say xdata inside of their content and then break the page. So if you rely on like a third-party integration that manages your content, who knows what it could do? So that is the issue. And HTMX is the same problem. If you use strings to include JavaScript, editor tooling hates you, and cross-site scripting hates you more. So that's why it's kind of nice to avoid. And I assume XElement is really smart about this because it's not shipping this as a string, I hope. It's compiling this to a script tag so you don't run into issues. So if XElement works how I hope it works, it avoids that problem. So I do like that. I think there is beauty to compiling it. Yeah. I'm torn, man. I do like this, though. Now that I'm revisiting XElement, I've been around the world and I've seen the options. It's looking pretty good. Anyways, I pushed up this repo. So if anyone wants to take this further, please, please, please take this further than I have. This was me just slamming through a solution that works well enough. But I really want to find a generic library, something that could manage this for you. Figuring out how to do partial updates. Figuring out how to marry form inputs into your props. Something like that. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so XElement is the way around that security hole. I like that. Yeah. So anyways, people, go look at that repo. I just shared it. I'll go to my me cam so you can see it on the other thing. GitHub.com, bholmesdev womp. It looks like my formatter kind of hides that from you. But yeah, go over there, check out the repo. And also, I've been trying to get people to jump in here, and no one's jumping in. But that is my Discord right there, wtw.dev/chat. And let me also update this right here. Will that work? Oh, no, it doesn't work. Dang it. 1 second. 1 second. I can't remember my query. Lower third. There we go. Boom. Edge rendered, by the way. wtw.dev/chat. Go join today. I want to start discussions on this. I want to get everyone who's excited about Astro and HTML, which should be everyone in existence. I want to get everyone in that server talking about these patterns because I think we've got something here. So go download that repo, check it out, and if you got ideas, if you got suggestions like Pilcrow with the form data parser, I love that. If you have these ideas, go share it in the Discord. I want to see other people building with these patterns. I want to start a little movement here of simple HTML updates. I want to see it. So go join. Go join right now. Go join. Talk. Any tips to prevent image flashing on Astro sites? Okay, that is a much different question. Image flashing on Astro sites, I don't know what would cause the flash. I don't know. Are you optimizing your images? Are you getting flashes when you reload a page? If so, view transitions, probably. That would be my base suggestions. So check out view transitions if it is a route by route issue. Otherwise, make sure you're using Astro's image optimization so that it loads a smaller image. Because I have noticed you can get these like images flashing as it loads the image if the image is unoptimized and it's really big. So make sure it's optimized to something small so that it's available right away. Have you set the height and width? Also do that. Maybe your CSS is misaligned. That's a good idea. And also just for progressive enhancement. Good advice, Pilcrow. If you want to resume that in Astro support, you can also go to astro.build/chat. Astro.build/chat. That is where we have our support threads and such. So try to do that. The only reason I'm directing you there is I'm about to get off. So the Twitch stream is about to end, and you're going to lose these chats. You're using Astro image component, force refresh, make it not there for half a second. Man, that's rough. Yeah, I don't know. It could just be a really big image. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. Yeah, no problem. I mean, at some point, big images are big images. Yeah, because we don't have an option to like show a blurred image and then fade it into the correct one. That's like a user land solution. So that would be my gut instinct, is to try doing that. Like build something that loads a really, really small blurred background and fades into the correct image. I don't know if there's user land libraries, though. If there are, cool. I don't know what they are. But that would probably be what you got to do in order to get things going. But anyways, let me load up twitch.tv in order to... I hate that Twitch always plays audio. To see who's streaming. I see Pirate Software, so I'm going to raid him. He's been streaming for a long time. So, Pirate Software, let's get in there. Game devs. If you're a game dev, you're going to learn today, perhaps. But also, thank you for the stream. I stream every week. I'm not going to be streaming the rest of this week because Thanksgiving, and I'm going to go see some family. But next week, I'm definitely going to be on, and I'm going to be trying out these patterns. I'm also on Twitter talking about it. So if I'm trying things out at the family couch while we're waiting for the turkey to cook, you'll see me. You'll see me. We're always cooking. So thank you for coming. Drop a follow. And I will see you.